Hello, hello. How is it going? All right, just going live in a second. All right, awesome. Okay, I think I'm live everywhere, so should be good. If you're joining, welcome, welcome. Just gonna wait like a couple of seconds more, so in case other people are here, they can join as well. Alrighty, let us see. Hello, hello. If you're joining, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I'll be starting in a sec. Just want to give everyone some time to join me. And if you're watching the replay, hello. Okay, so I normally do this on Fridays at 12:15 in case you want to join live next time. And the idea is for you to come get all of your job search questions answered. So if you're like, I'm currently job hunting, but like a thousand things is happening and I'm not getting all the results that I want, this is the place for you to actually come to and come ask all of your questions. And yes, I mean all of your questions. So it's like, why am I not getting interviews? Why do I keep rejecting me? I don't know what I did wrong. That interview was perfect. Why didn't they hire me? etc, etc, etc. This is the place to come to get answers to all of your job search questions. Okay, so awesome. If you're watching the replay, as always, yeah, and I also have like, ooh, sorry, I am so sorry about this. But I also have like a link that I create, so like a Google Doc. So if you have questions and you're not sure if you'll be able to, meet the live, you can just put your question on that form and I will answer them on the next live. Okay, sounds good. Awesome. All right, so it's 12:16. I am going to get started. Hello, thank you for joining. Um, Now I didn't get any pre-submitted questions, but I did, throughout the week I've been working around on my Facebook. So I do have one thing that I'd like to talk about today while I wait for you to drop your questions. So if you're joining and you have any questions, don't forget to drop them. Um, but yeah, it's around being having experience for a job or for a particular role, or like, you're a career person, you have experience, but you're still not able to get a job. Like it doesn't add up, right? It doesn't add up. I remember a flavor of this I used to get like a while back, and it'd be like, I have this degree, I have that degree, I have this certification, I have all of these years of experience, but it's still so hard to get a job. And I remember that group then was like a Facebook group with like Canadian people who immigrated to Canada. And, it was just like a lot of like bitterly complaining about how the job market is terrible, etc, etc, etc. Honestly, my job is not to deny or confirm that, but it's more like, okay, it's terrible. What can we do? You still need a job anyway. So what's going to be the next step? Right. And for people who are senior specifically, who have a lot of experience, right? I'm going to talk about this in two dimensions. I did a reel earlier today about how your job search problems can only be two things, right? It can only be two things. You're not, you're applying to the wrong roles, therefore you're not getting interviews, or you're applying to the right roles and you're not able to convince them that you're the person who should get the job. It's either one of those two things, right? And using that same perspective and applying it to somebody who is a lot more senior, it makes you start to wonder, okay, I have all the years of experience, but say, for example, you're not getting interviews. And it's like, what is going on here? A lot of times when I ask people questions around this, people who are facing this issue, when I ask them questions around this, it usually comes down to a couple of things, right? I'll be like, okay, what have you been doing so far? Like, what has been your job search process? You see a job you feel like you can do, what do you do next? And they'd be like, well, I take my resume, I submit my resume, right? Um, a lot of the times, these people are most likely using the same resume to apply to the same kind of role. But that's not even the issue I want to talk about today. Let's take a step back. I feel like even as a senior person, there's a number of things you need to determine first before you decide to go ahead to go and start applying to jobs. So the first thing is, what is going to be your angle? you have a lot of years of experience. You've probably done a ton of things, or maybe you've done the same things. But the question here is, what is that? This English is coming to my head. What is that undisputable result that you've been able to help your previous companies, your previous organization? What is that undisputable result that you've been able to help them achieve? Right? Maybe you're an HR person and your undisputable result is like you're so good at organizational transformation. Maybe you're like a supply chain manager person and your undisputable result is like you're the person who can get a process from like a 10-day thing to like a 2-day thing. Maybe process improvement is like your specialty. Like you have to think about all of these years of experience that you've gathered. What is the tangible thing, one or two or even three things that when you think about your career, this stands out and it's the thing that you've been able to get the most results for, right? And if you're not a senior person and you're watching this, it applies to you as well. The way to start thinking about your career is not just the number of years or how many years you spent at a company. It's in what tangible outcomes did you achieve while you were in that role, while you had that previous experience. This is important because of a couple of things. Job market is tough, right? But here's the thing. There's 10 other people with a similar job title who also have 10 years of experience in that role that you're applying to. At least 10 other people. So, what differentiates you at the end of the day from those 10 people is the kind of tangible outcomes that you've been able to accomplish in your career. That is what helps you stand out. People don't just want to hire something general operations manager. They don't just want to like a COO of COO. They want a COO who has solved specific problems that they're hiring a COO for, right? I'm losing job titles for people with 10 years of experience. But like, just imagine, say, I'll just use product management because that's my field. People don't just want to hire a director of product. They want a director of product who has done very, very specific things before, who has led a certain kind of industry, a certain size of a team, a certain kind of product, and has led it to success, right? You're a I don't know, you're a software developer, even for example. Like it's rare to see a software developer that they want a jack of all trades. They want you to have had experience with certain languages, certain processing, certain like they want you to have experience with some certain things and have achieved tangible outcomes with those things as well. So you're just starting out, you're new in your career, you have 10 years of experience, whatever your case might be, you need to start thinking about what is going to be my own undisputable outcome that I'm going to use to give me an advantage. And why is this important? Like I said earlier, number one, it makes you stand out. But more importantly, it makes it easier for you to focus your job search efforts. It's interesting because like back in the day, right, you could only apply to whatever was available in your locality. I mean, a lot of us probably can relate to that. We grew up in the age of internet, so we've been applying to jobs outside of our countries from like forever. Hello. Um, but that was then, right? But think about what we have right now. There's so many job boards. On each job boards, there's so many types of jobs, right? And when a lot of us think about focusing our job search effort, we think, oh, I just search for like roles in my job title and that's it. But here's the thing, not every single job that has the same job title requires you to do the same thing. The mistake we are making is that we are applying to all the jobs with the job titles that sounds very familiar to us, and then we're wondering why aren't they calling me back? No, this is what knowing your undisputable expertise. It's a term now, I've coined it. This is what knowing it does for you. Product manager example again. I go from applying to all the product manager jobs and I start to apply to the product jobs that wants the specific thing that I have successfully done in my career. If you're wondering why, couple of things. First off, go look at the job description for whatever job title that you're hiring for. Read about five of them and put them side by side. There's a difference. They want to hire you for the same job, but each of them has something that differentiates them from the other one. For real. Each of them. Hi. Like each of them has something that differentiates them from the other one. Hello, hello. So if you're just joining very quickly, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll be answering them as I go. But for now, I'm just talking about having experience and still not being able to get a job. So whether it's 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, 3 years, 2 years, having experience and still not being able to get a job and how to actually navigate that. Right? So what was I saying? Yeah, not all job descriptions are the same. And the whole point of you knowing what is going to be your advantage is so that you can start to tailor your efforts to the kind of jobs that ask for the specific thing that you have done previously. The second part to this, and this is, why this is important is this: networking. Networking. When it's time for you to start, I want to set up coffee chats, I want to reach out to people on LinkedIn, I want to do this, I want to do that. It would be so like, compare this introduction. Hi, I'm Mujida. I'm a product manager. I'm trying to land a role as a product manager in this country, in this company, right? I saw you guys have an opening. I would love it if you could provide me a referral. Versus, hi, I'm Mujida. I'm a product manager with experience in this specific tech that your company also has. I've been able to do this specific thing that your company is hiring for. And in my previous role, I was successfully able to scale them from, like, I don't know, I deal in money. So like I was able to scale from like almost five-figure revenue to making like seven-figure revenue. And I think that I'll be able to provide such impact with your company as well. Would you be opening to talk more about giving me a referral? Compare those two. One is more powerful than the other. Imagine I don't send that to ask for a referral. Imagine I apply to the role and then I go send a message to the recruiter or the hiring manager that sounds like that. It's a lot more powerful. I would get a lot more responses compared to if all I did was just say, hi, I'm a product manager. I like to work at a company. I have B2C experience. Like sometimes we feel like maybe we are niching enough by saying, like, oh, I have experience in this certain industry. No, it's not enough. What industry? What have you done with the experience that you have in that industry? That's a couple of things we need to think about. And I'll take a minute here to talk about why all of this in the first place. It kind of breaks my heart because I feel like I'm a Nigerian and Nigerians are good at everything they do, even if it's bad things. That's just facts, right? But let's talk about the good side, for example, right? It's hard to meet a Nigerian who is terrible at their job, especially if it's an immigrant. It's kind of quite hard. Like we are typically really hardworking people. And it breaks my heart that I keep seeing people who, if they were only given a chance to do a good job, they would perform excellently well. I felt that way in my life for the longest time. I feel like I'm that kind of person where I just need an opportunity. I would excel beyond the expectations. That's just the kind of person I am. And I know that there's thousands of other immigrants who are just like me. But we don't find these opportunities because competition is tough. So many people applying to the same roles, and it's really just hard to get in. And it feels like you have to like jump through a lot of hoops and like do a lot of things just to get an interview and then do all kinds of things just to get the job. But what if, what if we didn't need to work so bloody hard just to get an interview or just to get the offer in the first place? One of the things that shortens that process for you is for you to get really, really, really good and really, really comfortable speaking about the tangible outcomes that you've achieved. And if you're still new, you don't have that much experience, you've not worked for that long yet, here's what you need to understand. Start thinking of your career in terms, I said this earlier, start thinking of your career in terms of outcomes and not just number of years. You spend 6 months at a place. What is the tangible thing you achieved in that 6 months? You spend 1 year at a company. What is the tangible thing that you achieved with that company? And when I say tangible, I don't mean like, oh, we released a product 3 times, oh, we launched something. No, that's just like that's expected. But tangible in terms of like, what was the impact of the work that you did on the business bottom line, either revenue or customers? How did you make their customers happier? How did you save them money? How did you make them more money? You have to get like, and don't tell me that my job is not that kind of job. See, if you worked at a company and that company was a profit making company, like a money making company, whatever it is your job is, to stay relevant, to stay long term, you have to help them make money, save money, keep their customers happy. I don't care what you do. I don't care what your role is. Even as a lawyer, like, right? I mean, maybe like business law, corporate. Okay, well, I'm saying things I don't understand, but I'll just give a lawyer example anyway. Even as a lawyer, you have to help your clients do something that matters to them in order to be like a relevant lawyer. That's just how it works, right? But we're not used to thinking about our careers in this way. So when it's time for us to compete on a larger scale, it becomes so difficult and we start to feel like, oh my God, if only people knew just how amazing I am. You have to get really, really good at telling people just how amazing you are, no matter your years of experience, no matter how long you work. It doesn't automatically translate that you're an expert because you have 10 years, 8 years, 7 years of experience. No, you need to make it clear and spell it out to people, right? And what makes that easier is you knowing what is that tangible thing, what is that undisputable result that you have that makes you stand out. That's the starting point. That's the starting point. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna check for questions again, and for anybody joining. All right, all right, all right. All right. So if you have any questions, please drop them. Let me know your questions are. Um, So yeah, that's one. Then the other side to this is now you know what your undisputable thing is. Now you're ready to go reach out to people with it. What do you do next? You find the roles that are related to that. I think I started talking about earlier and then I deviated. I'm sorry. But you find the roles that require that, right? Apply to the jobs that want people who have had the tangible results that you wanted. Now, truth, they probably won't be as popular as if you were applying to just everything and anything. That's just natural. It's not a problem. Hear me. It's not a problem that you're not seeing a lot of jobs with the kind of roles that you've done before. This is the part where you need to put your networking hat on. And when I say networking, I'm not talking about something scary and annoying. No, I'm talking about simply trying to find companies who require or who are trying to solve these problems or who would potentially solve needs to solve these problems with their products and making a really really good pitch to them. And that could look as simple as this: you're an expert in X, Y, and Z in this industry who's achieved these things. It could look as simple as going to find companies around here who do the same thing. Look up their products, look up their performance, see how they're doing it. Think of the things you can do to improve. Put together a simple document if you want, and go send a message to somebody who looks like they could be in a position to make that decision and be like, hey, my name is this. I have this experience in this, and I have successfully done this in XYZ companies. These are some of the things I noticed with your products, and I think that these are the ways that we can improve. Would you be open to having a conversation about us talking together? How's that sound? What do you guys think? Drop a comment, right? Drop a comment. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me see, let me see, let me see. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. What do you guys think? I know I just jumped a lot on you probably. So it's like, I'm not applying to jobs now. I have to go through my work. And I'll talk about why this is important in a second, right? I'm just trying to see if anyone is asking any questions on my LinkedIn very quickly. Yo, I'm still getting the hang of all of the step tools. Okay, so why do it this way? You do it this way because when it feels like there are no opportunities, the next thing to do is not to freak out. It's natural to freak out. It's human to freak out. But you can't stay freaking out. Bills got to be paid. You need a job. So you go out and you try to create an opportunity. And I think I should do a live video specifically about this, like pitching yourself to jobs. And I will. Definitely I will. But just very quickly, think of it this way. If there is nothing for you to apply to in the first place, what would you do instead? Like, what's the alternative? The alternative is either to continue to apply to jobs that are not a fit for you and not get a rejection, or you can try to see what's out there, what else you can create, what opportunities you can create for yourself. And it's so weird because we're not used to searching for jobs this way. We're not used to like having to go talk to somebody about how amazing we are so that they can give us a job. But what if that's just what is needed, right? What if that's just like, okay, I'll tell a quick story and then I'll go on to the next thing. So I remember I quit my QA manual testing job in 2019, 2020, pandemic, 2020, during the pandemic, because I wanted to get back into product management. And what I did then was not this full version, but was pretty something similar. I simply just put it on my stories, my Instagram stories, like, okay, I quit this job. I'm looking for opportunities in this area. This is what I think I can do. And I think I would be very, very valuable. And I had somebody in my network reach out to me to say, like, oh, hey, he was working in a startup at the time. And he's like, oh, yeah, my CEO is looking for somebody to come in and work in this capacity. Do you think you'd be interested? And I was like, heck yeah. And that's how I got that job. And that was my reintroduction back into product management. I could have applied to roles, I could have done all of the things, but that journey was a lot shorter for me because I was simply just thinking about, okay, what can I do really, really well? How can I make that obvious to people? And that was how I got that introduction. Something to think about, right? Something to think about. So, um, you do. All right. No questions, no questions. If you have questions, drop them. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. So then the other side to this is like, okay, now I know my thing. I know how to land roles. I know how to find opportunities. I know how to apply to those opportunities. Let's talk about applying really quickly. The way to apply to those opportunities is to put the things that you're really, really good at front and center. So let's recap. I am a person who's had this experience and this very tangible result. I'm applying to a role that needs somebody who has that experience and has that tangible result. That means that on my resume, when I'm reaching out to the hiring manager, when I'm reaching out to the recruiter on LinkedIn, I am putting it front and center and saying, like, I am this person who has this experience and has this tangible results that you're trying to hire for. I put that in my resume summary and make sure it's obvious in my resume bullets and make sure it's everywhere so that there is no question at all about whether or not I'm a good fit. That immediately puts you in the yes file. And then they reach out to you and then they ask questions and then they do stuff, right? It's pretty simple. Doing this alone has helped my client land 2 times more interviews. Like literally went from like almost zero or barely hearing anything back to having interviews back to back every single week. Simple, right? And then when you get to the interview itself, now you've gotten the introduction. You know, you you've gone past, the maybe they will like me, maybe they won't like me stage. When you get to an interview, it's obvious they want to hear from you. It's obvious they're curious about you and they would love to learn more about the work you can do and how you can help them. That's what an interview is. No matter how else is disguised, no matter how many questions they ask you, they simply want to know, can you help me? That's it. If you keep it in mind that the simplest question or the most important question I'm here to answer in an interview is, can you help me? It changes the way you interview. Because the thought in your head while you're interviewing is not, do they like me? Do they want to work with me? Do they think I'm good enough? Do they? It's all me focus. But when you're thinking, how can I help them? What do they need help with? You're more curious, you're more engaged, you're listening better, you're hearing things better, you're picking up on things that you naturally won't pick up on because you're too worried about what they thought about what you just said. You're paying a lot more attention to the conversation and you're able to pick up, hey, this is what these people want to hear. This looks important to them. Can I ask a follow up question about that? And when you're interviewing, you're starting with that preference of like, oh, hey, hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is this person. I've done this thing you're trying to do, and this is the results that I've achieved from it. This is how I've also done it so far. You introduce yourself that way. Guess what's going to happen? They're just going to ask you follow up questions, at least in the first interview. Okay, oh, wait, tell me more about that. How did you do that? What was your process? What did you do? What did you do? The conversation goes from can this person really do the job to okay, let's see, do we have similar processes? Let's evaluate how you did it. What's your expertise like? What is the thing that you're bringing that is going to actually help us to do this? You said you've done it before. Can you tell us how you did that, and can we see how it's going to match? You have to be thinking about all of this subtext that happen in an interview, but it's really really difficult for you to pay attention to things like that when you're too worried about if they like you, if they can hear you, if they understand you, and it's your thoughts are very, very just worried about you. Another thing that might help you with this perspective is this. I don't know. I hope everybody here dates. Maybe not everybody dates. Well, I'm married, but yeah, whatever it is, we understand relationships. Everybody understands relationships. Hell, even friendships. Let's say friendships, for example. When you meet with somebody, you don't like people who are self-obsessed and who are just talking about themselves and who are just riffing on and on and on and on about what they've done and what they know, blah, 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 where they've been. You pay attention to people who pay attention to you, right? When they ask you questions, when they're curious about you, right? When they try to find common interests, you're like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe we're vibing, right? The whole point of vibing is like, okay, there's something we have in common that is keeping this conversation going. Your job as an interviewer is to get to that point where it feels like there is a common interest here beyond you just wanting a job. Obviously, you want a job, right? But beyond, like, you have to show you actually care about the work that you're coming in to come and do. And the way to do that, you ask questions, you listen. They say something you're curious about, you ask a follow up question. When you're giving your answers, you're saying things that are relevant to them, things that would interest them. You're not asking about, you're not, so for example, they're hiring for you to come do a product launch. Great, you're not there to talk about, well, I've not exactly done a product launch, but I also did this other thing that is not a product launch. No, talk about a product launch. Talk about the challenges that happen. Talk about how you overcame them. Talk about all the things that you've learned through the process. Talk about all the ones that you've done before. The ones like focus on the thing that they're interested in. Now, you're talking about a product launch, and then they happen to ask you a question about, oh, wait, what about these other things? Ask them about the other thing. Oh, yeah, I've done this before. Why did you ask that? Is that something you do currently? And then let them tell you, well, we're actually considering it, but we're not really sure, blah, 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 blah. Go deep. Get them talking. Ask for more information so you know what to focus on when you're talking. Before the interview, you have like half of the information. During the interview, you need to ask more questions to figure out what is the other 50% of this conversation that would help me get this offer. You can't do that if you're hoping to impress them with your 10 years of experience. You can't do that if you're hoping that your certification is going to be good enough for them to like just not ask you anything. You can't do that if you're focused on so many other things that is not them during the interview. That is how you pass interviews at the end of the day and get an offer. Again, back to that friendship example, the people, right, you end up being friends with are people who there is some kind of mutually beneficial connection, mutually beneficial thing. It's that simple. If it's dating, right? I mean, I feel like if you know what you're doing, you would probably date somebody that you feel like, okay, I can't guarantee anything, but for now, this person feels solid. This person feels like they understand what I need, and we will be able to help each other get to our goals. That's the person you date. You don't date a maybe. Oh, let me even say it this way. You don't marry a maybe. Hopefully, you don't marry a maybe, right? You shouldn't marry a maybe. Everybody knows that, even though some people do, but like, you should not marry a maybe. You should not marry a no. You should not marry somebody who gives you red flags. You should not marry somebody who doesn't show that they actually care about you and what it is that you're trying to do. You marry somebody who can help you get to the end of your life goals or your career goals or whatever it is you want to do for yourself. The same thing with companies. And we keep talking about how 2024 is hard, job market is hard. I'm not disputing that. But this is the perspective I want you to have. Companies are hiring people at this point who would show that they would give them the most ROI. They're willing to wait. They're willing to take their time with the process. They're willing to be sure that whoever it is that they hire are actually best, they're making the best possible decision with those hiring decisions. That's why it feels like things are harder and things are slow because companies want to make sure that they are going to get the best persons for their companies, not just the best person, best personality, but the people who will actually come in and help them get to their goals. How much are you showing that you care about those goals, that you understand that perspective in your entire job search application? Listen, you're an amazing person. Honestly, I'm pretty sure you're amazing. I've still not spoken to somebody who hasn't done something pretty impressive in their careers. But to recap, number one, you have to get clear on what that impressive thing is. You have to find the companies who want that specifically impressive things and apply to them. And then you have to be able to speak to that impressive need in the interview, find out what else they could potentially need, and close that interview by getting an offer, by making sure that you're showing that you're the person who understand what they want to do and you're the person who can help them get there by giving relevant examples, speaking to their needs, and also making sure that you have proven results that you can back up. That's how you do it. That's how you land a six-figure job. All right? All right. Awesome. So if you're watching the replay and you missed this, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. If you joined, thank you so much for joining. If you're still watching, thank you so much. Um, yeah, that's it. If there's no more questions, we're actually at time today. So you can reach me either here on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching this. You can just send me a message, drop a thing in the comments, or send me a DM afterwards, and I'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. Right? Cool. And if you do want to take this work further, you're like, okay, Mujida, all of this is great and good, but how do I apply this to myself? Like, what does this mean for me? Cool. Work with me one-on-one coaching. My one-on-one coaching is where we take all of this work and we actually personalize it to you. What does this look like for you? How should you be approaching your job search? What you need to do differently to make sure you get that six-figure job offer. And I do offer one-on-one coaching for a minimum of 16 weeks, as well 4 months. And at the end of that period, the goal is simply to get you your six-figure salary. It's that simple. So if that's something that interests you, use the link in my bio from wherever you're watching this. Use the link in my bio to book a sales call, or just send me a DM and I would happily send you the link so we can talk about this a whole lot more. So, thank you so much for joining. I truly appreciate it. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching as well. So, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, any thoughts, or you even just want to say hi, please talk to me. All right? Talk to me. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.